the importance of individual responsibility, but we know we're stronger together when we have a shared obligation to each other as a community. I ask for your support. I ask for your vote on June 5th. Thank you very much. Let's be Iowa.
All right, so we've heard fiscally conservative, marijuana freedom, needle exchange freedom. I think in 1971 we'd all be libertarians up here. So welcome to the new age. Welcome. But we did mention House File 2164 I'm firmly against rewriting the Civil Rights Act so we can legislate bathrooms. You want to talk about fake news, you talk about the scare tactics of saying that LGBTQ plus people are somehow a threat to share a bathroom. There's so many problems with that. It could take 20 minutes, but let's not do that. If we want to use, I'm a member of the press, a journalism major, so if we want to use actual cases here, we should be actually looking at legislation to ban Republicans from public restrooms. If we want to use actual, people that have been convicted of crimes of getting creepy with you in the bathroom, nobody. But yeah, I just want to reiterate, I'm proud to be seen as an ally, have been my whole life before I knew the term. I'm against House File 2164. I'm pro Senate File 73 against conversion therapy. I support adding gender identity to the hate crime code. I plan to continue my father's work ensuring that all Iowans have a safe state to pursue their happiness in, and I would be honored to do so at the position of governor.
I'm wearing this ally button because I am an ally. And I've always been an ally and always be an ally. When I'm in the governor's office, you can depend on that button and me. I've heard a lot tonight about just what we want to do about caring about every Iowan. When I said I want every Iowan to be a success, I'm talking about every community, and that includes the LGBTQ community. And it's very important to me that all of you feel that you can be the success you want to be, and that I'm the governor that will bring that for you. I also think about, we didn't talk a lot about bullying. And I've heard so many stories from kids who are bullied. And we have got to have a governor who will stand up and make sure that our schools, Safe Schools does an incredible job of educating teachers and students on how to recognize bullying and how to have safe zones so that we don't have this with our kids. These are our kids, folks. And if we can't make a safe environment for them in their school, what are we doing? So as governor, I will make sure I am the anti-bullying governor that we certainly don't have right now. So I thank you for letting me speak tonight. I thank you for all the work you do. I know a lot of you, and I know you're hard workers, and I hope that you'll consider my campaign. I'd like to earn your support, because I'd like to be able to carry out the things we talked about tonight for not only the LGBTQ community, but for every community, so that every Iowan can be the success they need to be.
I want to first of all thank you for having me and putting this on. Very important discussion. Thank everyone for coming out here. I may not be as funny as Fred, or I definitely don't sing as well as John here, but I think if we look at the issues, what do we believe? We believe the motto of this state: our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. Each and every one of you has individual rights. They're all very important people. Your rights are just as important as anyone else, any special interest group and religion. Your rights are very important, and do not let anyone tell you they're not. When people, like I brought up at the beginning of the discussion, when people say this is not an important topic, it's very important. Anything that impacts you as an individual is very important. That's why you're here. And we've got to get back to caring about one another, listening to the needs of our neighbors, our friends. Eliminating, we talk a lot about the stigma, eliminating the stigma behind many of these issues. A lot of it, we're one of us is going to win here, hopefully, not Kim Reynolds, but one thing we need to do is to all work together, and we need to work together as individuals. We need to work together within our communities and make sure that, and it's not just political, doing what you can to help your neighbors, helping end the stigma surrounding these issues. And once again, we got to restore the motto of this great state. We put it on the flag. Our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you tonight, and I think you'll probably get the sense everyone up here is pretty supportive. Let me just share a personal story. About 6 years ago, I was the chairman of our staff parish relations committee at my church. And Henry, who was our assistant pastor and contemporary worship leader, approached me and said, "John, I'm going to transition to become Susan. I want to know how that might affect his role in our church." And so we met with the committee. We embraced Henry. And we set upon a path of bringing a congregation through that transition with him. I brought in counselors. We had multiple sessions. We lost some members. We gained some members. But over the next 2 years, as Henry became Susan, leading our morning worship, I never experienced that much personal growth, and growth within a tight-knit congregation, as I did as going through that process. Many of us hadn't been exposed to transgender, me included, at that closeness. But it gives me hope, and I hope it gives you hope, that we all can change and grow by supporting each other and embracing who everyone is in their own identity. And I'm hopeful that Iowa can be that kind of state where we can change and we can grow together and make a difference so that everyone reaches their full potential.
Just thinking back, in the 70s, the idea that in 2018 we'd be sitting here with so much unanimity on these issues is incredibly mind-boggling and very, very affirming. Very, very, very neat. Lots of things we all agree upon. There are some major differences. This forum focused on issues we tend to agree. There are major differences between us. As I alluded to before, I am in favor of a much larger state government. I'll tell you why. We used to have 6 congresspeople in Iowa. We have 4 now, and very honestly, in 2020, or certainly by 2030, we're going to lose another congressperson. We need to make Iowa much more attractive to folks, so people stay here, so people move here, and so people immigrate here. We will be talking about that over the next 3 months. 3 months from today is the primary. A lot of time, a lot of topics will be discussed. We need to make education so good in Iowa, people move here. We need to make our water and our environment so good, and our record on climate change so good, people move here. We need to make our tax policy so good, people move here. We'll have lots of time for discussion. John Niederbach, thank you very much for a good evening.
We've spent a lot of time tonight talking about some of the bad things that have happened and some of the threats that are potentially coming our way. But one thing we haven't done a whole lot of discussion on is that vision forward. A vision of what Iowa can and should be if we have progress on our minds on some of these issues. And it's not just about talking points, it's about taking action to make things happen. I'm somebody who has done that before I got into the Iowa Senate. I stood up with Iowa Safe Schools when House Republicans tried to use a subpoena and abuse their power to compel Nate Monson to go to the Iowa House of Representatives and defend practices that were happening. I stood up there and volunteered my legal services to protect against that overreach. I'm someone who has introduced legislation for real equal pay for equal work, not just in theory, but in reality in this state. I'm someone who has proudly marched in that pride parade that goes through the East Village of Des Moines. I'm proud to be elected to represent that district to the best of my ability in the Iowa Senate. We have to join together. This is a critical moment in our state. And we need to build the future that we want the next generation of Iowans to be proud to live in. We need to join together and do that here in 2018, and I appreciate this discussion on how we do it.
Well, thank you to Safe Schools, and thanks to all of you for putting up with us for as long as you have. We very much appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight. You know, we really have a choice to decide the Iowa that we want to be. As governor, I'm going to stand up for an inclusive Iowa that welcomes all, no matter what you look like, how you identify, where you come from, or who you love. An inclusive Iowa that gives everyone an equal opportunity to live freely and safely to reach their full potential. I say this not just because I believe that's who we are as Iowans, which I do, but also because welcoming diversity is the only way our state is going to be successful. A recent Iowa business report warned that Iowa's lack of diversity could hamper future economic growth. When you think about it, diversity is truly a strength. We're made stronger when we embrace our differences rather than being fearful of them. If we stand together, the progressive Iowa that I know we can be will be a reality. If we stand together come November, Terrace Hill will be blue. And we will ensure our state is an inclusive one for years to come and generations to come. Thank you very much.
Well, from the issues that we've discussed tonight, when it comes to LGBTQ plus justice in Iowa, it's clear that we still have a lot of work to do. And while it might seem easier to give in to despair, I have to say that I'm hopeful for our future. And for months, our Bold Progressive movement has seen everyday Iowans rising up and demanding their voice be heard. Demanding a fair wage by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Demanding better jobs and pay by fighting to repeal right-to-work laws and expanding unions in our state. Demanding universal single-payer health care, because health care is a human right. It is not a privilege or luxury for the wealthy few. And demanding equality and social justice for every single Iowan, no matter where they come from, their sexual orientation, or their gender identity. I'm particularly impressed with the activism of our young student generation. They continue to fight a conservative legislative agenda that's set to destroy their civil liberties, their friends, and their neighbors. Their bravery and passion makes me hopeful that justice and equality may seem more out of reach than ever. A new day is dawning across Iowa and across this country. In 2018, we have the opportunity to reject status quo politicians, reject watered-down centrist policies that leave too many Iowans out, and continue to lose at the ballot box. Let's rise up together in 2018 and fight for bold progressive change. It's the only way to ensure that all Iowans have a fair shot at the future. My name is Kathy Glosson. Thank you for having us tonight, and thank you, Iowa Safe Schools.
Iowa needs the votes.
Help me thank our candidates one more time for coming out. Thank you to all of you who came out, attended, sat for a couple hours here and learned from the candidates. As is iterated, you know, it's really something pretty inspiring to see. We have 9 candidates representing 2 different political parties, all the candidates running for each of those parties who are in a lot of agreement on these issues. And when I started this job 11 years ago, I can say that we probably wouldn't have been there. And just even 5 years ago, I don't know if we would have been there. And we even have a Republican tracker in the back, and I think that's such a badge of honor. So let's thank her for coming out. And I hope someday the next time we're able to do this, we have all parties represented, because, I'm reminded of that quote from Angels in America, we will not die silent deaths, we will be citizens. And we are reaching that time where we are citizens, where bathroom bills and religious exemption, it might fire up a small base, but it's losing issues. As it was talked about, in Phil Miller's race, they lost. They threatened to subpoena us, they lost there, and they're going to keep losing because human rights are a part of who we are in Iowa. So thank you all again for coming out. And I encourage you, get involved with the campaigns. I know they have staff around. I'm sure sometimes they hand out things after things like this, but grab some buttons, grab some stickers, get involved with the candidates. The primary is June 5th. I encourage you to register to vote, get involved. vote and learn more from any of the candidates if you didn't get your question answered so far. And also go to the Safe Schools store, shameless plug, and buy some more swag. Thank you all again.